Okay, brothers and sisters, we are more than happy to bring you this program. We have two people this morning to deal with a subject that I think we all, really all Black folk, should really become more conscious of, more aware of, and they would see that our ancestors are really returning. This is not, this is not the stuff you throw up on the wall and hope that it sticks. This is real. The brother we're going to be interviewing this morning um, is a brother by the name of TutemRa. And I always I don't know why I can't get this name right, but is that close?
That was good.
TutemRa, TutemRa.
TutemRa.
And we also have Mama Moshe with us. Many of you have heard Mama Moshe before. So the brother and I were having a conversation just before we came on the air, and I want to go back to some of the things that we talked about in that conversation. Um, and he was telling me about um, a lot of people are claiming that they are the reincarnation of somebody, but he can kind of explain this a lot better than I can. So we're going to open up with Brother TutemRa, TutemRa, and then we're going to let Mama Moshe join us because both of them, when I talk to them, have had a similar kind of experience. Tell me about all of these people who you're running into. A lot of them are young who inside of them they feel that they are the reincarnation of our ancestors. But I enjoyed what you had, the insight that you are bringing to this. Would you please speak on it?
Greetings. My name is TutemRa Nabu Sahu Keperu. And first, I'd like to say thank you for having me on your platform, number one. Number two, I'd like to say that I'll talk about how you and I came to meet each other. Can I say that first?
Oh, of course.
So Mr. Clemson Brown and we met via Dr. Oyibo, through a conversation with Dr. Oyibo, the mathematician. And Dr. Oyibo wanted me to tell my story. He wanted Mr. Brown, Minister Brown, to hear my story. And upon hearing my story, I think Minister Brown felt it to be true. Am I correct?
That's correct.
And so from there, him and I spoke some more. And he recently came and received a massage from me. And here I am now. I'm writing a book. My book is called TutemRa, The Prophecy of Reincarnation. My book is about my many past lives, my oldest past life being Tutankhaten, also known as Tutankhamen or Tutankhamun, or King Tut, or the Boy King, or the Golden Pharaoh, many different names. That's the oldest life that I'm aware of. And my most previous life was my life as Emmett Till, the boy murdered in 1955, sparking the civil rights movement. And as Minister Brown just expressed, many people are feeling like they've been here before. Like my book is going to entail, many of us have been here before. Some of us, it may be our first run, but this game of life is a cyclical thing that we're living over and over and over again. But it's like a shared dream that we're experiencing together. But to speak to the part where people feel like I've never in my life before my revelation, and I'll get to explaining how it came to be that I knew and know who I am and who I was. But I'll say first that when my first life came to me, which was Emmett Till, after I presented that and started to share that with people, I started to meet people who felt like they had been here before and that they were people from the past. And most of these people were females, and most of them felt like they were none other than Queen T, Hatshepsut, Nefertiti, Nefertari, Cleopatra. The list goes on from ancient Kemet. And since my life as Tutankhamun came to me on 4/4/2020, the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated, since that day, I have met many, maybe a dozen young men from 16 to 30. And even some, I've heard other people older have felt like they were King Tut. And I'm torn between two different emotions here. One emotion is I've never met anyone who felt like they were Emmett Till. Never felt anyone who felt like they were Emmett Till. However, there's so many people who feel like they were a pharaoh or a queen. No one was the baker, no one was the cook, no one did anything else. Everyone was the pharaoh or the queen. And I think that we missed the point. My book is not about helping people to realize a past life or a previous life. I'm here to wake you up to the reality of the immortality of the soul. That's true. To wake you up, to free you from a bondage that's been given to you. To think that you only YOLO, you only live once. And if you die, you either go to heaven or hell. If you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, you go to Jannah and Nirvana or all these other places that you go based on these boxes of religion. Instead, I want you to understand that you come back here again. So everything that you do is going to be, you're going to be facing it with a law of cause and effect, the law of karma based upon your actions. You're going to have to pay for everything that you've done. So with that said, it is best for you to live a life that will grant you a more prosperous return. And so essentially, this is why the teachings of reincarnation were taken out of the biblical text, to trap you so that you could be beholden to a priest, a post, a priest, a pope, an imam, or rabbi, or some sort like that. You go to their church or their mosque and you pay them tithes, and by living a good, righteous life, you could either go to heaven, you could hopefully go to heaven and not go to hell. You know, so, and there was a racket and there's money involved in that for you paying into that belief system. But that is not the reality of what's really going on. So I spoke to that. Are there any things like else you'd like me to cover? Probably tell my story, or did that answer your question?
It did, but we also talked about the quartz and crystals and.
Oh, that stuff, that was just random stuff. We were talking about cell phones and technology and not knowing how to operate a cell phone. And I was talking about how I once heard Baba Kalimbi Iyi, the master martial artist, in one of his lectures that I caught live. I went to see Baba Kalimbi Iyi at a lecture in 2018 in October. Unfortunately, this Grand Master transitioned on April 10th, 2020. He transitioned, but in 2018, July, August, September, October, 4 months after I had my past life revelation of Emmett Till, I went to a lecture of his. I went to a lecture. It was at Nicholas Bookstore in Brooklyn. And we must have been in that lecture for like 5. You can't find anything online from him that was more profound than what you'll get in a live presentation with him. And he talked about many things. One of the biggest things he talked about was the power of the magic mushroom, of the psychedelic magic mushroom. But to answer the point of what you were talking about, he mentioned these cell phones. He said if there was some sort of catastrophic event that destroyed all technology and most of the world population, and And thousands of years later, people would dig up and find artifacts, and they would find these phones. They would turn them on, and they wouldn't know what to do with them, but they would think that they were these great pieces of equipment. But they would have no Wi-Fi and no way of using the technology. And he said that's very much just like a crystal, like this clear quartz crystal right here. This is technology that we can store information in. And I brought up the movie Superman. In the movie Superman, Superman had a crystal. He threw it into the snow. I think it was in Antarctica. And that's where Crystal City appeared. And he took his crystal, and that's where he communicated with his father from that city using the crystals. So these crystals that we use in all of our jewelry, sometimes we're wearing these things and we don't understand the actual power that this technology has. And so all the technology of the herbs and the medicines that are out here for us to utilize, instead we abuse them. We abuse them. We abuse the sacred tobacco, and we abuse it with cigarettes, with all these other chemicals that are in it. We abuse the sacred marijuana with all these other chemicals that are in it, and we abuse them, and we use them as a daily thing that we become addicted to, and we take it away from its natural, its divine purpose that it initially had for us. And so that's my spill on that.
Yeah, but we were saying that these crystals are in everything that we use in our laptops, and
yes.
they still.
Yeah.
They're still.
I kind of forgot that. Yeah, the crystals are in the computers that we're using. They're in the cell phones. It's technology that we've forgotten how to use. And instead of and to speak on another level, because we're talking about, we're making it about these laptops when it's really not about this. It's about all of these things are inside of us. Sometimes you think of a person and they call you. You know, you dream of someone and then they call you. You know, I'm writing a book that has more to do with past lives. It has more to do with awaking up the psychic abilities that are innate in all of us, that are hidden, that are dormant, that are asleep inside of all of us. And so, yes, we can use this crystal energy and put it inside of a laptop and send an email to someone. But to be honest, that is working back. All of this technology, if you ask me, is working backwards. They have technology that you can use for solar-powered information to solar power your car. And we don't spend time ourselves getting the solar power from the sun, being in the sun, sun gazing. These are the things that are going to awaken the energy within ourselves, so that you know, there are many stories about the great adepts, Buddhas and stuff that have been able to materialize their astral body from one. See, right now, we're talking over this computer right now. So in ancient time and even present day, there are people who can transport their astral body to another person without using this technology. And these are the things that we should be focusing on. These are the gifts and talents that we should be putting our mind's eye on. As a man thinketh, so is he. The first time that I ever said to a woman over the phone, I said, meet me in a dream. And we hung up and we went to sleep. And we woke up from a dream that we both remembered. So that is not something that is commonly talked about or commonly understood to be as a reality. Shared dreaming. You're dreaming things before they happen. So these are the many things that, as I'm writing my book, it's not just about my past lives and about me claiming to be this person to that person. In my book, I'm going to talk about my oldest life of Tutankhamun, my most previous life of Emmett Till, but all the lives in between, and then this life and this body, what I did in this life, because I wasn't always this dude that you see in front of me. I always looked like him, but I was not always the person that I am now. Deep in the recesses of who I am, I always wanted to be, but I wasn't that person. It was in my heart, but I wasn't that person. There were things that I needed to do to manifest that, to transmute that, to become that scarab, becoming transformation, the things that I needed to do to realize that inside myself. And so, yeah, this crystal is a good thing to talk about, but we have to open up the crystals that are hidden within us. We have jewels and organs inside of us and glands inside of us that we need to awaken and charge and to utilize, because this is working backwards. With this device right here, they track you everywhere you go. But with this body right here, we have power over it. I wear a feather, not just because I'm Cherokee and Blackfoot. I wear the feather because of my art, to keep the heart lighter than a feather. But there's an ancient saying that the natives knew, or the natives saw, the white man come before he came. How could that happen? Well, because dreaming was a major part of our practice. There were the dreamers. You had the medicine doctor, right? You had the herbalist, right? Then you also had the dreamer. You had the warriors. You had the dreamers. They came together, part of the ritualistic day, and they talked about the dreams that they had, because you can dream things before they happen.
Sister Moshe? Yes. Yeah. Join us, please.
I'm here.
All right. I was hoping that you and the brother would have a conversation together. I wanted you to co-host the program because I know a little of your background, and I talk with you all the time, and I know you could comprehend what he's saying. So you're the co-host. Go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you, Daddy Brown, for allowing yourself to be a vessel that the ancestors and the cosmos will bring these two kindred spirits together. So greetings. I don't see him in
the. I can't see you either. I can't. Now I can see. Yes.
Oh, okay. So TutemRa, Kempra. Okay, that's gonna be a mouthful for me right now, but I'll try to do the best I can. But I can definitely relate to everything you're saying, due to the fact that I didn't sit by anyone's knee, or I wasn't sitting in a classroom for information to give me knowledge about ancestrals. And I wasn't taught from a book. I was at home minding my own business. I wasn't thinking about no ancestors or no what they call God. I wasn't looking for no God, and I definitely wasn't living for no God. So when the ancestors decided to awaken my first eye, which is my mind of divine consciousness, they did it without the props of anything physical being present. So the communication through the divine spirit that connects who created my mind also awakened my mind and brought my attention to those things that was not serving my highest and my greatest good because of the lifestyle I was living. So that was the first thing that they had to remove. They didn't send me to a religious house, so I can be indoctrinated. They knew what I needed. So they did it like what they call in a twinkling of an eye. Now, to make a long story short, just being able to recognize that our ancestors' DNA flow through our bloodstream, and the offices and council and the positions of all of our ancestors that were part of the divine light of consciousness, being the light to the world in whatever generation that we find ourselves awakened in. We are the sequel of that office. especially in such a time as this, because we recognize that there's a cosmic paradigm shift. The shift is not to perpetuate or to propel us into something new, but to propel us into renewing our status that we had before, because it was perfect from the beginning, and it will also be perfect in the end, in the fall of this current reign, but it will be reestablished through the offices and divine consciousness, as you said. And then I have said as well that, being a scribe, or being a healer, or being a priestess or a priest, or a leader, where they call it kings or queens, or just the leadership of being able to be that portal of divine consciousness, is well needed. And we don't have to look to the system to validate what we can come to a conclusion of who we are, but to have the knowledge and not to be able to um, apply it so we can manifest the fruit from it, is where we need to find ourselves actually listening for the purpose of manifesting. And with that, for now, I'm complete.
Thank you. Brother TutemRa, um, my whole focus right now is I've had two really heavy shootings right in my house, in front of my house over the past 2 weeks, and it's the young brothers. Um, they say it's all this game warfare, but I thought we needed to deal with it, and if we could somehow get the young people, to understand uh, that they are being mind controlled. They're killing each other because this is the way the system has taught them, has embedded in them this whole concept of gangs and killing, but they don't know who they are. And if you don't know who you are, then you are subject to be controlled by your enemy, who wants you to think that you are nothing and nobody, and you need to be killing each other because that's what you do. You form gangs and shoot up each other. But I think a lot of this is being manipulated. And one of the things that I think that if we could get to our youth, and I want to ask you your opinion on how we get to our youth. How do we change their view of themselves, and some of the teachings? I know you were telling me that you went through the martial arts, and I think every young person, every brother and sister who has a child, a boy, whether it's a boy or a girl, should send them to some form of martial arts, because it builds self-confidence, it builds respect for one another. Uh, and most of the brothers that I know that teach martial arts also are teaching history, their history. And so I wanted to get your insight and your opinion of how, because you came through a lot of this yourself. You spent the time in the service, and so forth. So how do you think we can apply the knowledge that is here to get it to our young people? Because their um, their respect for one another, and especially the elders, and their attention span is just out of the window. What are some of the things you think we could do to help them?
Well, I'll say right now the time is 111. Time is 111. I just thought that was interesting as I looked at the clock. 111. And I'll say this. I grew up in I was born in Far Rockaway, Queens. And in Rockaway, Queens, when I grew up, was violent. I think Edgemere had the highest death rate, you know, and I didn't grow up in the projects per se. I can't see you anymore. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'll bring us back.
Yeah. I feel like I'm talking to myself that way.
Oh, okay, not a problem. I just like to do a big screen because people can see you clearer and larger.
Indeed. And speaking of violence, there's something called personal. I'm a personal trainer. I'm a personal trainer. I'm a comedic yoga instructor. I'm a massage therapist. I also, you know, I'm a Tai Chi instructor, but I don't much teach Tai Chi. But I'll say this. In my training, in all of those, personal responsibility is key. Personal responsibility, because from a child, from when you were little, you learn what's wrong and you learn what is right. And inside of you, there's an intuition and a feeling of knowing when you're doing something wrong. So all of us know what is right and we know what is wrong. You know, in some instances, people don't, right? But for the most part, we know what is right and we know what is wrong. I say that because I grew up in Far Rockaway, Queens, and I never wanted to be a person that did something. I kind of always felt that there was this, I didn't know it. I didn't have anyone to teach me. I grew up, my coming of age was in the 90s. I was a teenager in the 90s. And in the 90s, you had people like Bobby Hemmett speaking, C. Freeman L. speaking, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark. All of them I never heard about. Khalid Muhammad, I never heard about them in my youth. I never, ever heard about, I didn't hear about them until technology age. I never heard those men speak that I know of now. I had never heard of a Francis Cress Welsing, but still inside of me, I heard, I think when I was 16, I heard for the first time Malcolm X speak. Malcolm X said the Ballad of the Bullet. I remember listening to that whole tape cassette over and over again. And the one thing that rang from me from that speech was that they don't kill you because you're Muslim. They don't kill you because you're Christian. They kill you because you're Black. That was enough. I understood the scenario of what I was in. I didn't understand how it all fit together. I didn't understand how it was systematic within school, within prisons, within law, within medical, within food. I didn't know all of that, but I knew enough to know that I didn't want to do something wrong to somebody that looked like me. That was enough for me. I would never. So the root is each person, you have to have it. You have to have an innate love for the person next to you. Mm-hmm. You know, as you remember, as you see what was happening to us as a people. But I'll also switch to this because you are a minister, and we also know that when we go to church, when a person goes to church, they sing for about 45 minutes to an hour, and they get you nice and warm. And that person is playing the organ, which coincidentally is the same word as the different organ centers in your body that are connected to chakras, which are like crystals, right? Mm-hmm. They're playing these organs to get you emotionally roused up, right? And then the pastor come and tell you one little thing about Jesus Christ, and people are just wailing and just giving out their tithes and offering and feeling good. Now, that's what we're talking about, music. Music, right? So the study of music, and the number one music today is hip hop. It is the music that we are attracted to. And music is very much, can be a religion. Just like sports can be a religion, you know? Mm-hmm. So a lot has to do with the food that we feed ourselves. And food is more than just the food. Food is the music. Food is the actors. Food is whatever you give your attention to. And even the word attention, A-T-E-N, in ancient Kemet, my name was Tutank-Aten. Attend. That's what the word attention, right? Page 4, march. Attention. The word attention, to get your attention. The Aten was the sun in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
The sun.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The word attention, what are we giving our attention to? That's how we pay. We pay with our attention. And so my heart goes out when I think, when you said that you had 2 murders in front of your house. In front of,
I mean, over 20 shots scared
20
me.
shots. You know, that bothers me. That bothers me because there's an agenda out here to keep the music derogatory, where you can hear out of your car radio, mother effer, fuck you, suck this, pussy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything on the radio followed by the word nigga, 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 nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes.
And so it is what we allow ourselves to pay attention to. These young people, they have more so than ever the gift and the curse, because this thing right here, whatever you want to pay attention to, I've met many different types of young brothers, Minister Brown. I've met some really sharp ones. Yes. I've met some sharp 15, 16-year-olds. Some sharp ones that they remind me of myself, but better. They remind me of what I wanted to, because I didn't have someone to teach it to me. Like I didn't know about I didn't have anyone to bring me to Dr. Ben back then. I didn't have anyone to bring me to a Clemson Brown. I didn't have someone to bring me to that information. What I had, which was good enough at the time, was Tupac, because Tupac was my Malcolm X, you know, because I could hear in his music that he loved Black people, that he loved. One of my favorite songs, they got me trapped in a city of delusion. Happiness living on the streets is a delusion. Even a smooth criminal one day must get caught. Shut up or shut down with the bullet that he bought. 9mm kicking, thinking about what the streets do to me. We were never taught peace in the Black community. All we know is violence through the job in silence. Walk the city streets like a rat pack of tyrants. Too many brothers daily headed to the big pen. Brothers coming out worse off than when they went in. Over the years, I've done a lot of growing up. Getting drunk, throwing up, cuffed up. Then I said I had enough. There's gotta be another route way out to money and fame. I changed my name, played a different game. Tired of being trapped in this vicious cycle. If one more cop harasses me, I just might go psycho. And when I get him, I hit him with the bum rush. Only a lunatic would like to see a skull crust. So if you're smart, you really let me go, G. Keep me cooped up in this ghetto and catch the Uzi. That was Tupac, Trapped. Those lyrics, though, you know?
Yeah.
You know, listening to so we choose what we want to listen to, though. We choose what we want to give our attention to. So just as much as there is a design system for us to fail, it is our responsibility to not fail. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the young people, the young brothers, they have to decide. They have to decide. And they have more than enough scholars out here teaching. We got memes. We got social networking. It's out there. So they have to choose, though. I make music myself. It's positive. And I'll tell you what, I never wrote a negative rhyme. I don't write negative music. And I'll tell you, just from somebody that creates positive stuff, you'd be hard pressed to get somebody to share your music when it's positive. They more likely want to share things that are negative. You know, so this is how, you know, a lot of it is personal responsibility. Personally, what I think.
Correct. Yes.
What do you think about
that? I can definitely relate. When the ancestors took me on a journey, they put me inside of a cave. Well, I had maybe like 3 different experiences when it comes to caves. But just starting off with the music, because the laws of the universe also gives us the principles of rhythm and vibration. And when you have a people who study you and they realize that we're very spiritual people, divinely connected to the earth as well as the cosmos, then that's the reason why they try to take us off balance with the rhythms and the vibrations of the universe and of nature. And, to find people among ourselves that are so willingly to degrade our people for a few dollars that are only temporary for while they use you and exploit you and have plans to demise you as they continue to mistreat us. But inside the cave, um, I remember I couldn't see the face, but there was a figure that was dressed in all white, and it was a man's voice. Um, well, I'm thinking because been told I have a deep voice, and when I talk on the phone, some people get it mistaken as masculine instead of feminine. But nevertheless, this voice told me, if I listen to music, listen to nature. And so that right there, considering somebody who was into my reggae, I never really could connect to rap. But I have listened to it. Even when I was dancing, I chose like uh I guess you would say indigenous beats like the drum, whether in this land or from the motherland. I would always connect to the drumming beats, and I like the flute. Now, what we do have in common, TutemRa, Kimpura, I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly. I'm trying. It's Blackfoot. I have that on my mother's side and my daddy's side. But on my daddy's side is also from an African culture of Zulu and Mozambique. But nevertheless, we do have that in common as far as the Blackfoot. And I've also been told Chickasaw. I don't know if you ever heard of that. But when I woke up this morning and I was trying to get myself together, I was told to wear my feather of my aunt. But then I was like, well, I can't put on my feather of my aunt and have my head covering at the same time. Unless I'm going to create a band where I can actually put it on and have my feather. I did wear the Daddy Brown platform, I think once or twice. But the spirit spoke to me and told me to wear my ma'at. So I can relate to that. But at the same time, as far as the youth is concerned, yes, they have scholars among them. Now, see, I wasn't familiar with the James Smalls and um, um, all of the ones that were programmed in the trailer before we come on. I never heard any of them. I never read any of their books. I was not familiar because the ancestors were leading and guiding to me and teaching me what was relevant and significant for me at this time. And I also noticed those who are still among us are also increasing in knowledge because even they have admitted that the youth are doing even more research than they had access to, though it's all available to us now because of this tool, this device that we're using. Um, at the same time, they are teachers among each other. Now, the youth, when I go to them and I'm in their presence, I don't come in and go in as if I'm the teacher. I go in as well, like the mother of the village, and that is to nurture and to care for, to counsel, whatever it is that they need that they might not necessarily be getting from home, or what they need just to be recognized that they are significant and relevant, and they are an asset because they are present. But at the same time, because the things that I do know I reveal it to them freely. And they have to want to, they have to desire to want more, because you can pretty much tell if they were ready to receive you within 5 minutes, especially when we're living in a time that if you're foolish, it's now time to become wise. And if you don't even recognize that, then you're singing, pretty much to what they call to deaf ears. And if you're immature, it's also time to become mature. And if they're not recognizing that either, but I tell them that old age and gray hair is not what gives you wisdom. Because in all actuality, wisdom comes from experience. And when you experience and you learn from it, then you can make divine choices that'll be beneficial, of contributing to sustaining and maintaining life. Wisdom also can come from the master teachers of nature, but you have to have eyes to see and perceive, and ears to hear and understand. Because when I'm on my journey, that's one of the main things I have to be in touch with, is the spirits of the earth, because they are the master teachers. They are the ones who lead and guide. When we don't have a voice of reason, who are divinely connected to lead and guide in places of darkness, then the light comes forth from the trees. The lights come forth from the ants. The lights come forth from the birds and two-legged, four-legged, no-legged creatures, and even winged creatures, because I needed them when I was on my journey, barefoot, walking, and did not know where I was going, but I knew I was being guided by the spirit. And so the youth, even we have to go to them and not talk at them, but talk with them, because their voice is significant and is worthy to be heard. I in the beginning had a very issue with a lot of the vocabulary that they use, but even in their awakening, because I used to have a filthy, filthy, filthy mouth, but just like that, the divine spirit took that away, because that wasn't very becoming. So I expected all those who said that they were conscious to also display that type of characteristic shift, but not everyone does that. But the spirit had to let me also know that, whatever, wherever a place a person is in their status of consciousness, they are able to actually be a light to somebody who needs to be in the position they're at, but they still have to be able to grow in their divine consciousness. So whatever you were doing yesterday, to be able to say you're learning something new every day, you just don't learn it. You have to apply it in order to manifest it, in order to be fruitful from it. So I can relate to you so much. And I would like to just literally talk back and forth. I have a lot of questions for you. Like, for instance, when you became um, divinely conscious of what it is that you can connect to, of your spirit and your soul, your office of who it is that you are today. How do you see you implementing that into a position today that you can actually be successful in contributing to our reparations, restoration, and redemption? Not from a political or religious perspective, but from a cultural upliftment.
That's a good question, because as I was listening to you talk, what rung out was how I was looking at the chat here, and some guy, some guy named Tyrone Bailey said, I found this funny. He said, this dude, he said at 1 p.m., 31 minutes ago, he said, did he say he is King Tut? Yes, that's exactly what I said, but I didn't just say that. Let me just answer his question first, because it ties into exactly what you're saying. That's exactly what I said. I did not stutter. My oldest life, my name was Tutankhaten, also known as Tutankhamen, Tutankhamun, All right, the boy king, King Tut, King Toot, however you want to say it. That's my oldest life. Okay. My most recent life is Emmett Till, Emmett Lewis Till, born on July 25th, 1941, the year of the snake. In this body, I was born again 22 years after murdered, the same year my mother was born, on October 25th, 1977, the year of the snake. Okay? I can tell you my whole story. You know, it's going to be all up in my book. But my book is not just about my past lives. Let's go back to what she said about even the trees will speak out. Like you just said, right? I remember sitting on a bench a few years ago, and the squirrel taught me something. Because this squirrel jumped right in front of me. And you know what the squirrel did? Even the ancestors agree with me. Fall off the wall. That wasn't necessarily off the wall, but that was my. But listen, the squirrel reached around its back and it scratched itself. And I said, wow, that squirrel will never lose its flexibility. That squirrel, no matter how much we take the natural way away from it, its habitat away, it will not take it will not lose its balance. And speaking of balance, I saw a squirrel fall out of a tree very high, hit the concrete, bounce up, and walk away. So speaking to that, let's answer your question. Earlier in this conversation, we were speaking about, and one of the things I didn't touch on, you wanted me to reiterate some of the things I spoke about. We are in an age of information where all of these elders that we can speak of that have been speaking this metaphysics and consciousness, these young people and even the old people who missed it, they can take this computer and cell phone and they can start to take this information in and listen to it, which I did. I binged. You know how people binge watch net? I binged 9 hours of Bobby Hemmett, 9 hours of Phil Valentine, hours and hours of C. Freeman L. Ben, Dr. Ben, Khalid Muhammad, all of it. Francis Cress Welsing, Jewel Pookrum, taking this up, buying books, reading it. Let me not lose my train of thought. The point I want to make is that at some point we can lose our way because knowledge without wisdom can be dangerous. Because when you take in a lot of knowledge, I meet these young people, especially the young ones who, I mean, I've never ever thought, a little bit about me. I don't want to make it about me, but you asked me a question. And this is coming from my vessel and who I am. I was an athlete. I wasn't the average athlete. That's not who I was. I was the fastest guy on my every team that I ever played for. Why is that important? Because speed is important. Speed dictates how your body runs, right? It dictates speed, the speed of light, energy, speed. I was athletic. I scored all the touchdowns. That's what shaped my personality, being an athlete. I will be 44 this year. People don't believe that I am my age all the time until I start talking. I was a soldier. I was not the average soldier of the month, soldier of the quarter, soldier of the year. I got out the Army. I prayed on a decision to get out. And my last day in the Army was Martin Luther King's birthday, January 15, 2005. My grandfather died August 18, 2009. That sparked my transition. He died of cancer. Just a couple of days ago. My grandfather passed the day after Marcus Garvey's birthday. My grandfather, General Dukes Jr., was born June 17th, the day after Tupac's birthday, 1931. He died at the age of 79. His death would spark me. It would make me start reading. I used to be a man. See, this is important. My book is about my past lives, but it's not just about my past lives. It's about what I did to have that bestowed upon me. It is not something that you just listen to some lectures and you have a dream. You have this feeling because you studied Kemet that, oh, wow, I'm Thutmose. That's not how it happened. I'm sorry. Many people to tell me that they people in past lives, I don't believe them. And it's hard. And I know that's kind of like ironic that I'm sitting here telling you who I was, yet I'm sorry. based upon what happened to me and how it was given to me. And I also have to understand that not everybody receives things the same. And so I have to humble a little bit, understand that. It's not all about the way that things were revealed to me. But something this magnitude, you know, I think that there's going to be some sort of a revelation that comes with it. You know, so how can what I'm experiencing work for me or work for the people in this day and time? I mentioned the sun earlier. And how can it work? They can use my story as an example. Much of the music is going to gear people towards money, clothes, and hoes, especially us men, right? You know, so I was very much a person as a trainer, a young trainer in the gym, was about making a lot of money and chasing every pretty female that I could catch. When my grandfather passed away, that was a shock for me. I started to study health and wellness. I was very fast, like I said. I have never not had a six-pack, but there was a time that I had a six-pack, but I couldn't vacuum my stomach in. I couldn't suck my stomach in because all of the stomach, all the food in my colon was hard. I was a meat eater. I was a paste eater. I was a sugar eater. I was unhealthy. You cannot judge a book by its cover. Although I looked very healthy, I was not. All right. So I started to change the way that I ate. Dr. Lila Africa, Dr. Sabi. I started to consume this information, but more than consume it, I started to apply it. I started to fast. I started to exercise more. Then I started to do yoga. I became a massage therapist. I went to school to become a massage therapist. But what I'm gearing towards is that squirrel, and that squirrel reaching behind its back that I mentioned earlier, and it didn't lose its flexibility. I signed up for a comedic yoga course in 2018. And here's something important. All of these things that I'm talking about will be in my book. The book comes out next year. It's called TutemRa, The Prophecy of Reincarnation. It comes out 100 years after my tomb was discovered, 1922, which happens to be the same year that Lewis Till, Emmett Till's father, my previous father in another life, was born. February 7th, 1922, Lewis Till, who was a soldier who was murdered by the military in 1943. So I signed up for a comedic yoga course. But why did I take the course? This is important because I started to follow the signs. I noticed that my course had 8 course days, 8 days, 4 weekends, Saturday and Sundays, 8-hour classes. The first weekend was April 21st and April 22nd. The next weekend, month later, was May 19th and May 20th. Then June 16th, June 17th, then June 30th and July 1st. So I noticed that May 19th was Malcolm X's birthday. May 20th was Toussaint Louverture's birthday. One of the leaders of the Haitian Revolution was Jean-Jacques Dessalines. June 16th was Tupac's birthday. June 17th was my grandfather's birthday. June 30th was a friend from high school. That was her sister's birthday. And July 1st was her birthday. So 6 out of the 8 days, it was something significant. I knew that there was a sign for me to take the course. So I took the course. And after taking Saturday, 8 hours, and Sunday, 8 hours, I decided to fast. I was 40 years old. I fasted for 20 days, only drinking water while taking my comedic yoga course. And on the day that I graduated, through a divine series of events, my life as Emmett Till was revealed to me. 2 years later, on 4/4/2020, my life as Tutankhamun was revealed to me. How does this help? Because really, it's not about us getting reparations here. It's about us freeing our soul. And each person, just like I spoke about those young brothers earlier, personal responsibility. The only way that you are going to be free is to free yourself spiritually. And you have to do that from going inside yourself. You have to overstand what you understand so that you can understand your own godhood. You have to overstand what you understand so that you can understand your own godhood, the immortality of who you are. You know, so I think that is how the biggest thing, the biggest way that we can utilize what I've experienced for today. And by going the inward path, like I say, my book, even though it's titled TutemRa, the Prophecy of Reincarnation, is not a self-guide to finding a previous life. No, it is a guide for you to find whatever it is that you agreed to realize when you agreed to come. Well, it's for you to find what you agreed to do when you came here. Because we all consciously come here. We just forget when we get here, from the foods that we intake, from the conditioning that we get from our family, from the air, from the water, from all of these things, from the music, from the cartoons, all of these things that adulterate us and take us away from the divine being. You'd be so surprised if you ask little babies when they first start talking. Ask, if you got a baby in front of you right now, you go and ask them where they come from. You start asking them simple questions like that. Who are you? Oh, this is what you might want to ask someone. Can I tell you another quick story?
Yes, by all means.
I met a brother in Detroit last year. He told me a story about his little daughter. He told me that he had went to a lecture, and in the lecture, they told them to ask the babies where they came from. To ask the babies, where do you come from? So he went home and he asked his little baby that was in the crib, where do you come from? Who are you? And the baby was holding on to the crib, and the baby was being a baby. And the baby, I don't remember the baby's name. He said, who are you? Where you come from? And the baby, after a while, the baby stopped. And the little baby put her hand on her hip and said, well, I used to wear a red dress, and I used to do this, and I used to do, and the voice was different. I used to do this, and I used to do that. And then the mother came walking in the room and said, who is that talking? And the father was in shock. And he looked at the baby and said, it's her. And the baby went back to being a baby again. I have a friend of mine who, when she was 10 years old, her mother passed away. The father was baby. So my friend's mother passed away. My friend had a baby girl. The baby girl was about 2 or 3 years old. The baby girl was with her grandfather, my friend's father. So the grandfather was babysitting the baby girl, his granddaughter. They were in a car, and a song came on. And the song came on. His granddaughter looked at him and said, do you remember when we used to sing this song and dance together? And he looked at the girl, the baby, his granddaughter, and he went to his daughter later and said, did you tell her about this song? And the daughter said, no. My friend said, no. The song that the baby was talking about was the song that him and his dead wife, his transitioned wife, used to sing and dance to together. So what I'm talking to you about is there is a law of rebirth that we don't remember, that has been taken out of the Western consciousness, out of the African consciousness. But if you go to India, they're always talking about babies who remember a previous life. Now, I would not lie to you. I don't remember my life as Emmett Till, and I don't ever want to really remember the end of the life. I don't want that memory. I don't remember the life of Tutankhamun. But sometimes when I'm reading the books about that time, I have weird feelings of deja vu. The name TutemRa, I did not pick that name. That name was echoing in my ear on 4/4/2020 when I came back from a deep meditation. As I was meditating on 4/4/2020, which is the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated, I woke up from a meditation. Let me tell you what happened in the meditation. In the meditation, before I laid down, let me tell you the whole meditation. I took 10 grams of magic mushrooms.
Wow.
I kind of don't want to, that's going to be in my book. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to I don't want to confuse people by thinking that if they take a psychedelic, let me also tell you this. I'll be 44 this year. I didn't drink alcohol till I was 21. I didn't smoke weed till I was 33. Okay? So I understand that we live in a day and age where everyone's looking to get high. Everyone wants to get high. I never needed to smoke cigarettes or smoke weed in high school. I didn't do that because I was getting a high on the football field. I could not be touched on a football field. And if you don't understand it, every person that you give your energy to, like LeBron James, like Michael Jordan, like every one of these people, Mike Tyson, every one of these athletes, those sprinters who just won the sprints in Olympics, every one of those people, when they are doing what they are doing, they are experiencing it in slow motion. They are experiencing it. You are seeing it at real time. That is not how they are experiencing it. They are experiencing it from a high created from chemicals inside the body, which is similar to when you have adrenaline running when you're in fear for your life. So I never needed to get high off of drugs. Therefore, I never did. I didn't smoke weed till I was 33 when I was going through a depression. And it served its purpose for me for 5 years until I had to rid myself of it because of two things made me think. Page 88 of Dr. Layola Africa's book, African Holistic Health. And on page 88, it has marijuana in it. And it talks about how marijuana, the droplets of it, when you smoke blunt marijuana, it is cancerous to the body and it disassociates the spirit's guiding effect on the body. And it is not good. It lowers the sperm quality and sperm count. It really is not, it's not good for the body when you abuse it the way people do. So when we talk about something like a psychedelic, though, a psychedelic mushroom, people taking these things and they're abusing them. These are sacred plants and sacred medicines that people are abusing. So I don't want to give you the idea that you can abuse something, okay? But if you go and you Google Mike Tyson and Bufo, B-U-F-O, Mike Tyson smoked the venom of the toad. And after smoking the venom of the toad, he stopped sniffing cocaine. He stopped abusing drugs, and he started to be a better husband to his wife. He understood that there was a bigger thing than this thing that he understood. It changed him. Who created this metaphysical Mike Tyson. So back to what I was saying. I took 10 grams of mushrooms. Then I ran on my treadmill for 25 minutes. See, it's not about what you do. See, you can follow everything that I just tell you to do, but if your intentions are not true, then the doors will not open for you.
That's true.
You can't take some, you're not going to get something just because you take something. You have to earn something. You understand? These things are here to help you. They help to open the veil that's here, so you can see something more that's already here. The dimension is right in front of you. Your ancestor is standing right there watching you do the dumps that you do.
Yes.
Your guardians, every person has at least one guardian. I have way more than one guardian. I have a lot. That doesn't mean that I'm bulletproof. No. But I got a lot of guardians, and I know that to be true. Mm-hmm. But everybody has at least one. You understand? So I took the 10 grams. I ran on the treadmill for 25 minutes. Let me tell you why I did that. Because I had an experience like a year prior where I took a mushroom and I ran home. And when I ran home, I got in the mirror and I looked in the mirror and my face was not my face. My face was some Native American Indian man. And it freaked me out. But I understood that the Aztecs and the natives, the native Africans that we call Indians that were here, that we took peyote, we took the mescaline and the peyote, we took this stuff and we played lacrosse, and we even went to hunt and we went to combat with this stuff here. You understand? So I ran on my treadmill for 10 minutes to get my blood flowing. But see, I wasn't doing what people do with these things. I wasn't seeking a high. I went on 4/4/2020, the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated. Remember, I prayed and asked for direction, whether I should stay in the Army or get out. I was going to stay in. I was going to be Ranger. I was going to be Special Forces. I was going to be Airborne, Air Assault. I was in a Special Ops unit. They had recruited me there. I was going to stay there. But for the first time in my life, I prayed and asked God to give me direction. And I followed for the first time what I thought was a sign. And just coincidentally, my last day in the Army was Martin Luther King's birthday. And when I realized that I was Emmett Till, and Emmett Till rose to prominence because of the murder of Emmett Till, and he was born in the year of the snake, 1929.
Yeah.
I find him I have more reverence for him than I ever did before. I appreciate him more because it was my murder. It was the murder of my previous life that rose him to prominence, Martin Luther King. So on 4/4/2020, I laid down after ingesting 10 grams of mushroom, and I laid on my back on the floor just like this, with eye covers over my eyes and sheets over me on my floor, right on the floor that I'm laying on right now. And I closed my eyes, and my whole body was vibrating. And I started to send my love and adoration as I can feel my skull vibrating, energy flowing from me. I started to send my love and adoration to Martin Luther King. Then I started to send my love and adoration to my grandmother, who was the oldest person, the matriarch of my family, then my mother, all of my sisters, all of my aunts, all of my nieces, every woman in my family. And I ended with my youngest niece, the youngest female in my family. And as soon as I released my thoughts from my niece, then I'm no longer in my room. I'm in a place that you might want to call the Akashic Records, in another dimension somewhere. Because now I'm laying in a sarcophagus. And to my left, at my foot to my left is Rosa Parks. At my foot to the right is Martin Luther King. Rosa Parks comes in and kisses me on the cheek. When she kisses me on the cheek, I raise up out the sarcophagus that we call the karast. I raised up out of it just like that. And I open my eyes. And when I open my eyes, now I'm back here on my floor. And in my ear, TutemRa, TutemRa, TutemRa. I knew who I was. And I called my friend Basui and I asked him what TutemRa meant, because I hadn't been studying the Metal Netta like I had needed to. And he told me it meant in the image of Ra. I didn't know what that name meant. If you Google it, you will not find it on the internet. It is nowhere in recorded history, not on a glyph, not on a wall, not on nobody's name. I didn't create the name. It was given to me. It's echoing in my ear. TutemRa, it means in the image of Ra. Tutankhaten means in the living image of Aten. Aten and Ra are the same thing. I was given the same name. It is a new name. Everybody who thinks they're King Tut, all they do is take the name Tut. They are King Tut, 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 Tut. And it's not Tut, it's Toot. Toot is how you pronounce it. So I'm sorry to go off on a tangent right there. Sometimes I can get a little bit excited about what I'm saying, but to speak on the mushroom, it's not something that you abuse. And to speak on the mushroom, Tutankhaten's father is Akhenaten. Akhenaten is the biblical Moses. Moses is the story in the Bible where he says in 16:14, eat the round caps that come after morning dew. A round cap is a mushroom. In the book of John, it says that I am the living bread sent down from heaven. Anyone who shall eat of me will have immortal life. That is a mushroom. That is a spore sent down to heaven from a meteorite or comet. Came to this earth. It is an extraterrestrial being. It is smarter than you are, and it is here to help you. But if you abuse it, it would not knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Ask, and you shall receive. But if you will not earn something, nothing will be given to you. So I just want to qualify that so that people don't take that and go run and think that they're going to receive some divine message that they haven't earned. Everything must be earned.
Yes.
Yes, my brother, we are almost at the end of our hour. but I wanted my sister to respond and give us closer. By the way,
Let
can
me
we
say
have
one
you
thing.
back?
Minister Brown, let me respond to one thing.
Okay.
This guy, he said Moses is not a real person. Let me just speak to that real quick. The name Mis means to be born of.
Mm-hmm.
The Mis that they're talking about is Thutmose, Jehutimis. This is the person that they fashioned the story of King David from. All right? Mm-hmm. So you're right. The person from the Bible that they call Moses is not a real person. The person they fashioned the story Moses afterwards was Akhenaten, Amenhotep IV. Changed this name to Akhenaten. Moses, you're right. This is a fictional creation from Akhenaten, who went away from the Amen-Ra priesthood, who venerated the Aten, who created Aten on the horizon in the Amarna period. You're right, brother. You're very right. But you need to study more. All right? You need to study more. Study who the pharaohs were, the Nasut-Bidis were that they created and stole these stories from. All this information will be in my book. And I want to also end by saying this. And I know, and I'll give it to Mama Moshe. I'm not a person that stepped up one day and said, oh, I'm a pharaoh. I do not. That just happens to be my oldest life. They say that heavy is the head that wears the crown. It is a hard thing to realize in a world where everyone is asleep. Here I am today knowing exactly who I am. And not even a person in my own family believes. So the fact that you don't doesn't bother me. Because I'm doing a divine work. I will probably be here again. But my work in this life is to try to leave here and not have to come back. I'd rather be doing what Harriet is doing on the other side. I'd rather work through the spirit because I do not want to come back here crying through another wound, having to remember again, and being forced to take some vaccination upon birth here. You understand?
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yes. So relatable. Yes, but so much uniqueness in our own divine essence. Considering that I did used to drink and smoke and all that other stuff, when the divine spirit changed my way of thinking, whatever in your mind, your body has to eventually follow. So when the divine showed me those things that were beneficial for me, in order for me to actually truly stand on truth, then that truth had to remain, even if I might not be in agreement to it. Because addiction is a stronghold and it can be a stumbling block. But if you truly believe the visitation that you receive from your ancestors, as well as the divine spirit, it's kind of like for in my instance, the first thing they had to do was reach in for that inner child, the unapologetic inner cosmic child, the one that came here with not only as an innocence, but a relevance that makes and confirms your reality that whatever you do, you're a teacher, but when you lose track of teaching, then that inner essence of the cosmic energy is to teach and lead and guide you. So when the ancestors revealed to me that they have removed all of those urges, all those stumbling blocks, all those strongholds, the type of experiences that I have experienced were nothing but divinely spiritual. And so, in order for me to make every man's words be a liar and the divine's words be true, then I have to stand as an example. I have to show myself that in spite of emotions and feelings and somebody else's opinion, I stand on my truth that I am significant. I am relevant and I am an asset to what the divine has mandated me to speak. The things that come out of my mouth is not something that I learned from in a book. Though I can hear other people speaking and confirm the things that have the spirit has spoken through me on a personal level, but it's not for my use only. It is to share and to help elevate and bring forth the remnant minds who are going to be powerful in such a place as this. And it's not going to come with a background of scholarship and diplomas and degrees and PhDs. As simple as a GED, which is the glory of divinity's educational divinity, divine education. That's what the spirit revealed to me. But those who are low, but are yet open to leadership and guidance, and who hasn't been able to touch, make that connection with the divine, because she said she would take the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and she would take the weak things of the world to confound the mighty. And for in this reason why I can only speak for myself, for her to take me from the low to bring me to a position of a highness, but not in arrogance, but divine relevance for whatever it is that we're speaking. So the things that the spirit, I wanted to, it was a word that you find, I can't remember the name of it or how you pronounce it, but it's a substance that you find in South America, and it's supposed to you drink it.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, ayahuasca. That word just kept coming to me like 3 or 4 different times, and I'm like, well, is this something you want me to experience? So I started listening, reading up on it, watching YouTube channels in reference to people's the different experiences, and I noticed what they all have in common is when they take it, they never come out of it without some type of confirmation of what it is that they're supposed to be doing in such a time as this. My thing is, I know what I'm doing. I mean, I know what I was sent here because the spirit showed me when I was in this particular realm, not with white lights, but like a telescope that has all those different colors of lights. And then I was like on a see-through glass, and then a black shiny floor that looks like black marble or something, and there were pillars, and I was hiding behind a pillar like the size of maybe a 5-year-old, and there was a great council, and the council was speaking to the people, and I was just, trying to peek around the pillars, but I was trying to hide. And then all of a sudden, I heard the voice say, "Now who is going to go before me and prepare the way?" So I silently, kind of like squeezed up real tight up against the pillar. And I was actually listening for my twin brother's voice. I was listening to maybe my sister's voice, listening for somebody's voice that I would recognize to speak and say something. But I'm standing there and didn't hear nothing at all. And I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. The council's asking who's going to go. And at that point, I'm thinking the council, the one speaking, is the divine eternal parent. And I know that there's something in me that I didn't even get to share with my own parents because of some situations that I'm not going to have to deal with that right now. But nevertheless, nobody said anything. And then all of a sudden, I find myself stepping away from the pillar, and I turned to walk up this long, black, shiny floor, and it was clear. I mean, forgive me. It was a sapphire blue, like, sapphire blue floor, and it was black glass on both sides, and then the pillar. And then I walked to the middle, and I don't know, my son, if you ever seen what they call great northern lights, like up in Alaska. I used to live in Alaska at one time.
I haven't seen them in person, but I've seen them online.
Yes. Okay. So imagine seeing forms of deities, but their shape, their look, their image is like great northern lights, and they're sitting on these gigantic, like probably bigger, taller than these trees around me, and they're sitting on these thrones, and all of a sudden I raise up my hand in the middle of the floor, and I'm looking at these thrones with these great northern light spirits sitting on them. And I said, I'll go, I'll go for you. And then all of a sudden, oh, I got goosebumps all over me because it just, mm, mm, mm.
Moshe, this is a dream or this is an experience of my
This
ayahuasca?
is an experience, like not a dream. It's like as real as I'm talking to you.
What I'm saying is, you mentioned ayahuasca. Is this an
No,
experience?
I heard somebody was telling me you need to go take some ayahuasca. I never did. And then I
Okay,
shift over to what I'm telling you now.
okay, all right.
Though
So
I wanted to because I was curious, but I was saying I don't need to because I already know what I was sent here to do. I'm just having some issues on figuring out how to do it around so many people who don't really comprehend the things that I'm saying.
I'll say this to you. I'll say in my journey, the biggest key to my journey, I mentioned earlier in the show, was changing the type of man that I was. I started to honor the divine feminine. And the universe started to bring different types of females to me, females with gifts, females who could see entities, females who could tell me, hey, you have a guardian standing next to you, females who could communicate, meet another one that could communicate with the guardian with me, other females who could, so saying that, I honor what you're saying because you're more tuned in to having an experience. But I want to tell you, I have a friend. I have a friend who always was able to see and hear stuff her whole life. And then one day in the right setting, with the right intention, she took the right psychedelic, and now she is closer to what you might want to call an oracle.
Uh-huh.
She does the things that you can see in movies. Like I don't have that gift she has. She's got a powerful gift. What I'm going to tell you is that because you have a gift and you're already something, I'm telling you that whatever nature has made, it has made. And if something kept coming up in your ear, the nature made something for you, for us to ingest. And I will reiterate again, just because you take something doesn't mean that the door is going to open for you. So anybody that's listening to this and hearing that, first of all, I'm not suggesting that anyone do anything. I'm suggesting that instead of paying tuition for school, instead of paying tuition for the schools that they send you to, pay attention to the intuition sent to you from the unseen realm and from inside of you. Pay attention to that.
Yes.
My brothers and sisters, I hate to cut this off. I
We
really
can
do.
go on and on and on.
Brother TutemRa, will you come back with us again?
I will.
All right.
I wish I would love to talk to some of these people in your in the comments. Some of these people. Hey, listen. I want to tell you, I've been listening to the conscious community for years. I've been watching a lot. I won't name no names, but I've seen a lot of people. Listen, I'm not out here telling you this because for some, what they say, clout, whatever that. I'm writing a book. Nobody else has a book that I'm writing. I'm writing a book. Read my book. I'll give you a book for free. My book will have many different prices for it. But those who can't pay for it, I will give it for free. I will be selling my book like people sell bean pies. My book is a divine revelation, and you will not be able to prove it to not be true. It's too many people connected to this. Everything is connected to this. It's a divine revelation. So I just would love to be able to talk to some of these people in the comments.
Yeah, that's you know what? I don't even from being behind stage, I don't even know how you're able to see the comments. I can't see any comments whatsoever. All I see is being back here in the
I'm looking on my phone. You're on your phone. See, I'm looking on my phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now I've had people who've heard portions of my experience, And they always tell me you need to write a book. You need to write a book. I had some say, well, you can write a novel from your experiences. And at one time, there was a sister who actually came into my life who's actually written 3 books, and she was going to show me how to do it. And she even came to my house. Now, the spirit has never opened up a door of opportunity for me to write the book. But I was so eager to actually have somebody walk in who knew what they was doing. And then when she made it to my house, she started talking to me about the book. Now, I just got to say this, Daddy. She says, well, you're ready to write your book. And then all of a sudden, the spirit spoke through my lips, not only to me, well, to her, but to me too. And she said, she is not here to write a book. She's here to fulfill the book. Well, in all actually said the scroll. They said the scroll, but meaning book. And we both looked at each other, and I was like, well, I need to find out what my part is in this scroll that I'm supposed to be fulfilling. And that's what my journey's been, to fulfill the book. And with that, Daddy, I'm complete.
All right.
Oh, you can find me on my Instagram is TutemRa Keperu, TutemRa_Keperu, KHEPERU, or at 25th Dynasty. I post a lot of things about my story on there, about my revelation on there. I'm kind of silent on there right now because I'm trying to finish up the book. The book will be out next year, 100 years after my tomb is discovered in 2022. So, yeah.
All right.
I'm looking forward to talking to him offline.
Great. Peace. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Look, don't forget to hit that button. What is it called? Well, the one that says you're watching and that you want to be a part of us.
So, subscribe button, Daddy.
Subscribe button, and then hit the notification button so that you will know when we're coming back again. And we'll be right back. Peace.
Danny,
Yeah.
do you have 5 minutes of TutemRa?
No.
You got 5 minutes so he can answer somebody's question in the chat.
No.
Just 5 minutes.
I got to get my wife to the clinic.
Oh, I forgot about that. Forgive me.
All right now. Peace.
Okay, Danny, peace.